Let's bring you now some breaking news from Brussels, where a police officer has been stabbed earlier this morning. I'm going to go straight to Brussels and to our correspondent Maeve McMahon, who's on the scene at the site of that incident. Maeve, just tell us where exactly you are and what you know thus far.
Well, Belle, I'm in the city centre of Brussels. I'm just a stone's throw from the Camp Place, the historic centre where tourists all tend to come when they come to Brussels. And I'm just outside a police station, probably one of the busiest ones, especially at night time over the weekends. And what we know so far is that this morning at about 5:30 local time, an individual came into the police station and attacked a policeman with a knife. We understand that person was then neutralised and taken to hospital, along with another policeman who was also injured. Now, we're waiting for more exact details on how grave those injuries were and if we have a motive for why that individual decided to attack a police station at 5:30 this morning. Hopefully we'll get some more of those concrete details at 11 o'clock when the federal prosecutor gives a briefing. But for the moment, we've heard from the Justice Minister this morning on radio, and we've heard from Jean Jambon, that's Interior Minister, saying that this is a cowardly attack once again on Belgian police, and he will be getting to the bottom of it. As you can see, the investigation is very much underway behind me. The area is cornered off, but it's very safe around here. Life is going on. People are going to work. Schools are out and about on school tour. So very much a normal morning, and the incident is closed for the moment. But any details I have, I will certainly be bringing them to you.
Good morning, Vincent. Some more drama last night. Theresa May still trying to get this draft agreement through Parliament. Just tell us what happened overnight.
Good morning, Belle. That's right. After Theresa May lost her majority last year, she had to do a £1 billion deal with the DUP. And she might be wondering this morning where her money went to, because they were, in turn, meant to supply her with 10 of their MPs' votes for everything that they needed to get through the House of Commons. Now, this is the finance bill. It is part of the Chancellor's budget package. And they decided last night to abstain on 3 votes and then to actually vote against the government on 1 vote, which was on a study on the impacts of the increase in child poverty because of a change to the tax law here. So Theresa May will be pretty unhappy, and this is being described by the DUP as a warning shot across her bow. They are deeply unhappy with the deal that she has struck with Brussels. They think that they have been betrayed, that the Prime Minister has crossed her own red lines, because she works so hard to avoid that hard border in between Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland, and also the backstop to the backstop, a border in the Irish Sea. But she did have to concede that Northern Ireland would have to stay in a slightly greater alignment with the Republic of Ireland, which means it's slightly out of step with the rest of the UK. They are not happy about this, and their spokesman, Sammy Wilson, he was on TV last night saying it's because the government hasn't listened to them, it's because they feel they have broken this promise that they decided they needed to take this step. So it all means that Theresa May can no longer count on having an inbuilt majority in the House of Commons.
And Vincent, she's also had to make concessions on publishing economic forecasts for Brexit, hasn't she?
That's right. This was an amendment brought by Chuka Umunna, who is one of the Labour MPs leading the call for a so-called people's referendum, a people's vote on Brexit. And he was trying to force the issue, but the government decided to climb down. They accepted they needed to do this. So before the vote next month on the deal, the government will publish its Brexit forecasts, which show the economic consequences of staying in the EU as we are, the new deal that Prime Minister Theresa May has got, and no deal at all. So this is designed to help MPs, and I really don't think it's going to do much to help the Prime Minister, because really the no deal impact will be quite clear. Her own deal, she'll be able to argue that there is still strong economic performance, but this might help the so-called people's referendumers to build support in the House of Commons by pointing out to the public the kind of impact it would have if either of those 2 options, apart from staying in, were taken.
And Vincent, Conservative detractors of Theresa May are still short of the number of letters that they need to try and force a vote of no confidence. Where are we on that rebellion?
Well, the rebellion seems to have been a little bit preemptive. It seems that Jacob Rees-Mogg last week was a little bit too bullish because they didn't hit that threshold needed of 48 letters of no confidence. That's what it was. That's the requirement it needs, but they're stuck at around the 42, 43 mark, we believe. But we'll see in a couple of hours. The cabinet will be going in to meet with Theresa May. Andrew Leadsom and Penny Mordaunt, two strong Brexiteers in the government, are going to try to convince her to try to get more out of Brussels. If they can't, they too, though, may walk, and that might lead to some more letters of no confidence being put in. So Theresa May definitely not in the clear yet.
Yesterday, Michel Barnier, the EU's chief negotiator, striking a note of unity among the EU 27. Are cracks beginning to show in that?
Absolutely. Well, to quote Josep Borrell, that's the Spanish Foreign Affairs Minister, he said yesterday, during negotiations like this, there's always a couple of surprises at the last minute that one needs to be prepared for. And he said he found that surprise over the weekend as he was reading through those 585 pages of the draft withdrawal agreement. And they refer to Gibraltar, that over British overseas territory in the south of Spain, a territory of some 6.7 kilometres, the home to about 30,000 people. He said the future of Gibraltar should always run through the Spanish government in Madrid, and the territorial scope was in those negotiations regarding the withdrawal agreement. He said he doesn't have enough clarity on that issue, and it's something he'll be seeking in the next few days. And France as well had a number of issues when it comes to fish and the access of European fishermen to UK waters. And other countries like Belgium, the Netherlands, Denmark and Germany were worried about the access that the UK will have to the customs union during that withdrawal agreement, believe that the conditions would not be strict enough. They're referring again to this level playing field that comes up a lot when you're sitting in a room with European ministers from all around the bloc.
And Maeve, are these issues, as you call them, likely to be resolved before Sunday's summit?
Well, if you ask Michel Barnier, the chief negotiator, that question, he will say yes, because he's afraid these cracks will give ammunition to Brexiteers over in the UK, and he wants to help and support Theresa May get the backing of this. But what we'll see perhaps is declarations and footnotes written in to that text, and they're important as well, because Josep Borrell, the Spanish foreign minister, said until he gets clarity on the future of Gibraltar, he will not be signing off on the withdrawal agreement. And of course, they need to have clarity on the withdrawal agreement in order for that political declaration to be signed off on. And that will be the point of discussion between Jean-Claude Juncker and Theresa May when she comes to Brussels soon. Ambassadors will be meeting on that note to discuss that today and prepare, of course, for that summit that will be taking place here in Brussels this Sunday at 9:30, with a press conference planned for about lunchtime.
Well, just tell us a little bit more about what we can expect through the day on the Brexit front from Brussels.
Well, right behind the scenes, there's a lot happening. The Brussels machinery has kicked into action since that withdrawal agreement was presented last Thursday mornings. Behind the scenes, diplomats and ambassadors from all the various EU member states are preparing that political declaration. It was already published yesterday, just some 6 pages, focusing on areas like security and defence, but it will be penned and it will be given some more content over the last few days. It will be a longer, thicker document, and that, of course, will have to be signed off this Sunday by heads of state here in Brussels.